A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of Man Up, Kona ya Wanaume. This is where, as men, we sit down and talk about some of the issues that are affecting the 21st century man. Work and life balance. That's what we want to look at today. Is that even possible? Some of these things we are told, who came up with some of these things? Are they practical? Are they a truth that you can build your life on? Or are they just some of the things we say, but kwa ground vile tunasemaga, mambo iko different? I've got two amazing men joining me in studio this evening to help me navigate through this conversation. First and foremost, if you're looking for a PhD, I have got the man just for you. My good friend Ken Aringo is here. He is the founder and director of Preserving Human Dignity, PhD.
Africa.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Jemo.
Good to have you.
Good to be here. It's been a minute.
I've been praying for a PhD. The Lord has answered my prayer.
Hallelujah.
He's brought you right to me.
I'll sambaza, Just share your number and I'll give you a link.
Ah, my goodness. We also have founder, CEO of Forward Search Consultants. This is a management consulting firm. He's also a certified leadership and business coach. This is John Alube. John, how are you doing?
I'm good, sir. Nice to see you, sir.
Karibu sana. Naona sisi wawili tutapata PhD.
We are privileged.
We are privileged
to go up on a PhD.
Yes. John, I'm just wondering, balancing work and family, is it possible? First of all, when we say balance, what do we mean?
I think the first thing is to be able to define the word balance. Yeah. And the word balance is a contextual word.
Okay.
In the sense that your context and my context will be different. And so when you talk about balance in your world and my world, it's a totally different concept.
Yes.
Because if I'm a soldier and maybe I'm in the army, I'm given 3 weeks leave, then I'm very balanced because I come home during the 3 weeks. I'm at work maybe 3 months, you know, and that kind of a thing. So I think I would go back to the place of, for me to define balance would be to say, first and foremost, what is most important for me? I need to define that from the place of my values. And then beyond just what's most important for me, what are the things that are distracting me from those things that I've already seen are very valuable to me?
Okay.
Yeah, so me, I think that is just a beginning in terms of thinking about balance. Yeah.
Ken, what do you think?
Well, I think for me, there's a very personal point of view that I like to make. It's something I've dealt with in my family. I remember a season in my life where I could hear my spouse complaining and saying, hey, you're not showing up. And I remember having that chat with her almost 10 years ago. Say, how would you like this to look like? Like a wheel balancing when I take my car. When one side inavuta ingine, then I know there's an issue. The four needs to work together.
Yeah.
And so when she was complaining, she was simply saying, you're not showing up for us, for me. And I've actually, that time only me and our 2 boys. She said, I wish you could do some of this stuff, like assignment with the boys, than me doing them with the boys. And my work, like I said, I was an army, I was a soldier. Okay? The church where I was serving as a senior minister, they needed my 28 hours. I only had 24. They needed 28. So I had to cut off and realize, you know what? Priority.
Yeah.
If this lady today walks out, this church will do away with me very quickly. So I went back to the appointing authority and said, I need lighter duties. So that it did not work.
They gave you lighter duties?
It did not work. I didn't get lighter duties, so it got heavier.
Oh.
Yes, and so I had to make some very hard decisions. And that decision was to seek for the next level where I could balance what matters most.
I like what you said, that balance may look different for you than it does for me. Because sometimes when we look at some of these concepts, it can't be a blanket thing for everybody. Everybody has
the context
with which they're operating from. And I was thinking also, it also depends on seasons, because we go through seasons in life as men.
Exactly.
You know, there's that season you have to really exert yourself into work or something, or maybe it's a project. You know, and you
there's
can't
a deadline.
There's a deadline, and you can't be there for your family as much as they would want to. But sometimes I wonder, in situations like that, does the wife and the kids understand?
I think the basic thing is Okay, when I approach balance, and I would go a bit personal, the way Ken has just iterated here. I think the most important thing is what was the foundation that you set yourself on, first and foremost as an individual.
Yeah.
Because for me, balance begins from a personal aspect. Me, as a human being, as a man. And then having, and I always say balance has a lot to do with time management. And time management for me is self-management.
That's right.
And if you don't know how to manage yourself, then basically you are not going to manage other resources. And time is a resource, family is a resource, and all these other things are a resource. So how was I grounded myself as a man? And then how did I come into all these scenarios? How did I come into work? How did I come into marriage? And do people understand me in those spaces? And do I understand myself in those spaces? Because if I don't, then it means at a personal level, I am a bit flawed in what I call maybe personal philosophy or belief system. I have a belief system that is kind of skewed. And because I usually say that that's the rooting of any man. Our rooting is in our beliefs. It is in our philosophy. Then from there we get our values. Then from there we get our behaviors. Which are the things that we see, because behaviors are observable things. But beyond now, if you want to see why is this man behaving like this, you need to go a bit deeper and find out what are his values. Then go beyond the values to his beliefs. How was he raised? How was he oriented? What are the philosophies that he has grown around with? And the things that, in fact, I always call them, because the word cult comes from, how was he cultured? Which is the word cult.
Wow.
And cult means strong, something that holds you strongly, So ni vizuri ujue huyu mtu alikuwa cult gani akigrow up. How was he cultured?
Belong to the Okumu cult. I'm just wondering, Mr. PhD, I'm just wondering,
I like it.
just based on what he's sharing, the way we are cultured and all that. Sometimes I find young people, I know you have a heart for young people, and I find young people, late 20s into their 30s, young men, and they don't want to get married. Because they're thinking, I don't have time for that right now. As a society, we're pushing them, get married. But him is thinking, hey, right now I'm building my career.
That's right.
I'm married to my work.
That's right.
So I'm just wondering, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
I will not put it into the SI unit of good or bad. But I've met people who reason like that, and I, as a youth minister for the last 20 plus years, I've had people who that season that they were told, please get someone and find this joy of having a partner, serve each other. The guy said, for now I'm pursuing this work. And they get to the top of that ladder, and they realize there was a component of a good thing that they would have gotten there. And then you realize now you're in a top of a vacuum. They got that career, they're top of their game, and there are guys who were with them then, who chose that path, also have arrived where they were supposed to go, and you start regretting. I wish I had seen the joy of working alongside other people in this. And so for me, if you know for sure that this is my end goal, I don't want someone in my life, I'll be distracted, and it works for you. Don't get to the top and regret. Because sadly what happens is that you think that when I get to the top, I have more money, I can walk in and propose to someone, and I can balance, and then Corona happens, okay? When you build your empire. And you're like, I wish I'd even come along with someone. So I think it's important for us to assess what is our priority. It comes from the value again. If your value is just to make money, I can assure you money is a worst master. There's never a day you can say, I go to the top, now I'm good, bring on the rest now. No. I remember the decision I've just mentioned earlier. I was in a good place financially with this job. Only that I was not there. I remember telling my wife, you don't want us to eat this good stuff and go to this holiday. Like, I care less about those things. You know why? Because I need you. If you go on and we have all this stuff and miss you, one day will come and you'll be called uncle by these guys. And the day my sons call me uncle, I'm done.
Uncle Ken.
Uncle Ken, there's a problem. So I had to take my place as father.
But then,
my priority.
What's the place of? Because the other thing we hear is it's not quantity, it's quality.
Yeah.
So what's the place of that in this conversation? Because the reality is, unless things have changed, looking at how I was raised up, Mr. Okumu, I know he's watching. You know, Mr. Okumu was not there in the house all the time.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Okumu was out there making ends meet. And I never felt like he was not there. But Mom, Mrs. Okumu was there 24/7. She was the SI unit. You go to her. So I'm just wondering, quantity, quality, where the man is concerned, how does that factor into this conversation?
I think both are important, but in context, as I said before again, because at the end of the day, I remember somebody who made a very jesty quote. He said that we are born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our decisions.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Very true.
That will preach.
Yes, that will preach.
At the end of the day, we are the chief strategists of our lives.
Yeah.
Chief drivers of our lives. And when you look at your context, you are the decision maker. And ask yourself, quality versus quantity. I need to be, I'll give you an example. Growing up, maybe as a young pastor, I remember one time my wife came and told me, our son is 3. You are always here, flying out of the country, and you're not there. He's growing up. You're going to miss out on this.
Yeah.
It was at a time when I was young, and I needed to really move very fast in my life, just in terms of the goals we had set and everything. But there's this reality right here. And so quality versus quantity comes in. When I'm there, I need to spend quality time with the family and the young man. But at the same time, maybe I'll be gone for large amounts of time. So at the end of the day, I must be able to do that juggling. And I know we have what we call time abuse. You know, and part of time abuse is juggling. Juggling, they say, the octopus, you have your hands, you're multitasking, you're in too many spaces at the same time. But at the end of the day, you must be able to have the right skills and the right approach on how do I then know this is time for quantity, this is time for quality. But when I'm there, at times I don't even talk about quantity. I talk about presence. Because you could be spending 4 hours with somebody, but you're not present.
You're on phone.
You're on the laptop.
Yes.
What?
So you say, I gave you quantity. I was here 4 hours straight. But you're not present.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, and we'll talk about this shortly after the break. What then does, for a man, what would we say a good amount of time with the family looks like?
Okay.
Because sometimes inakuwaga ni kizungumkuti. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. You're watching Man Up. We're talking about balancing family and work for you as a man. How is that working out for you? What are some of the challenges you are experiencing? 20316, SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. We take a short break, grab a cup of water, come back for part 2.
Tomorrow on The Corner.
Lifestyle is a key element in defining who you are, but should that be the case?
I almost ran into depression because of this social media lifestyle pressure.
People like watching what they know they can't do. You're trafanya, but they're busy there watching. Ati what?
The fake it till you make it kind of culture, you lose your own identity.
We are discussing the Insta life.
Don't miss out on The Corner tomorrow at 8:30 p.m.
Welcome back to Man Up. Tonight we are discussing balancing work and family. For you as a man, is that a challenge? How is that working out for you? Maybe if it is something that is working out for you, you can share some tips of what you do and how you're able to balance so that you get the best out of both worlds. This evening I'm hanging out with John Alube and Ken Aringo as we are discussing this whole aspect. There's something I once heard TDJ say, and he was talking about men. And he was saying, sometimes I don't know whether he said the tragedy or what word he used, of being a man and being a father, is that you can't be there as much as you want to because you also need to provide. For me to provide, it means I have to get out and do something and provide. and I can't be there because I have to provide. And so sometimes the equation is hard to balance, because if I'm there too much, I may not provide as much as I can. And if I'm providing, I mean, so it's like you can't have your cake and eat it. I don't know what your thoughts concerning that would be, because I find that if you're there a lot, have you ever heard those stories of even wives saying, huyu hata aendagi mahali, si hata uenda tu kwa nje utembee. You know, you are there and you're not wanted. Because I think sometimes that's also a dilemma. I don't know what your perspective on that would be.
Wow, thanks, Jim. And I pick it right from culture, how we are cultured. In the African culture, and many times, and I do marriage therapy quite a bit, I meet ladies who complain that this fiancé of mine or this husband of mine, I need him out there to go work. And then the guy will say, okay, fine, I've heard you. And works hard, gets a job. And now he's away for his 18 hours. Yeah. Working so hard, pushing the edges. And like, no, that's not what I wanted.
You're never there for us.
So sometimes it's so confusing. And I don't know what Bishop TJ used, that was a tragedy, but I could call it a tragedy, because the expectation put on men sometimes culturally, that we want you to come back with a cake and ensure that you are not eating it nasitu.
Yes, and it has to have a cherry on top.
And that brings it a lot of toxic, there's a very funny space where men find themselves in, that I even don't know then how much of going should I be having, and how much of staying should I be. And I again come back to my own life. This is something I've gone through. We had to reach a point where we had to need a committee to get it in and say which one would work better for you. Raise X amount of money, do ABCD. Watoto waende the elite schools. Okay, we can afford, we can work so hard waende hizo mashule. Or we can tuende mid-level, whereby I can bring X amount. So any job I interview, I always say, this is the offer. And the offer comes with ABCD.
Yes.
So before I sign on the dotted line, I tell her this is what will come and this amount of time I'm committing to. Niendelee ama nisiendelee? Yes. So that mtu asiseme mimi nilisign bila yeye kujua. And I think for me, Amos 3:3 really comes out. How can two people walk together unless they have agreed to so? And I want to speak to the men. Many times we do not come to the place of vulnerability to say, you know what, you keep telling me to go, and when I go, una complain. So what works best?
Tell me what
Let's come to the table, round table, and reason together.
Kuwa na msimamo.
Don't change goalposts when the match is on, in the middle of the game.
Huyu ni mwanaume wa aina gani? Ati anatoka tu job anakuja home straight. So you're thinking, I want to spend time with my family. And then you hear such kind of whispers. And then again, when you're out there doing your thing and you come back, you're never there for us. So sometimes I think men find themselves in that space where, okay, if I come back, I'm doomed. If I don't come back, I'm still doomed. What do I do?
Me, I have something that I call the three-legged stool. Inakuanga love, faith,
kitimoto.
Kale kakiti kawaze. Love, faith, and wisdom. Love is defined as doing everything for others at the expense of self. Others benefit, but you pay the ticket, right? Faith is, of course, activating, getting to that place of acting and doing. But for me, one of the most powerful is wisdom. Wisdom. Yeah, because I call love the great motivator, but wisdom for me is a great navigator. Faith is a great activator.
Okay.
You might have faith, but if you lack love, there's a problem with your motive. You might have love, but if you lack wisdom, there's a problem with navigation. So I usually tell men, because I speak with lots of men, I say you must have a healthy dose of the three. And you must, one of the pillars of wisdom is discernment. You must know, what do I need in this season? I need to navigate. And wisdom is navigation. Navigation is not a straight line. When you hear about navigation, it means you have a lot of impediments along the way that are trying to stop you from getting where you need to get. I love my family. I love my wife. I love my children. I want to hang out with them. But there is a sort of navigation I need, and the reason I love them is because I'm giving them the benefit and I'm paying the price. Okay? But in that same balance of loving, I need to navigate. I will be away for 1 week. But when I come back, what am I doing? Am I lost? Am I still engaged with where I was? how do I navigate that space? So for me, being a man and in terms of responsibility is getting to know how do I navigate these waters to be able to come to a place where I'm both acting in faith, I'm also loving my people, but at the same time, I'm exhibiting a lot of wisdom. Because at the end of the day, we must be men.
Exactly.
Yes.
We must be men. I like what you're sharing.
Yeah.
Because then it's not that because it's balance. Kwa sababu uko kazini 8 hours, pia lazima ukuwe na sisi hapa 8 hours. Ndio ratili ikuwe.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what we are saying. Earlier, I want to ask the question. So what does this balance look like? You know, how much time can we even quantify it? How much time is appropriate to spend with your family as a man?
I think for me, the reality is the moment you bring work, like our topic is work and family balance.
Yes.
That my work, I'm not abdicating on my responsibility at my workplace. My boss knows that my assignments are worked on. Sometimes because of an issue I had at family yesterday, a kid got sick and I had to be out in the middle of the night. I'll run late on my work. I'll have to come and make peace with that.
Yeah.
So that mdosi say, one ujama, end month, we are not laughing. So the moment there's fulfillment and ability to deliver on my duty, on my assignment at work and my family, to the satisfaction of those who are involved. Okay?
Yeah.
Then it becomes balanced.
Yeah.
Because I can be so great a family man who runs away from my work. Ikifika 3 mimi ndo nimeenda. Watu wengi wanasema, daddy wetu, ukua.
Anakuja kuchukua shule.
But boss ananitafuta.
Na amehepa job.
Nimehepa job. There's no balance.
Yeah.
As a steward, I've failed. At my workplace, because I'm a steward in both these spaces. So to the satisfaction of the components involved, or the parties involved, that's where agreement comes in. So there must be a lot of feedback and hearing. Sometimes men, where we fail is that failure to seek that feedback.
I like what you're sharing because then that means that as a husband and wife and even the children, they need to have a clear understanding of what your work entails.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Because if they have a clear understanding of what your work entails, they will not have unmet expectations.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or unrealistic.
Or unrealistic expectations. They know, the kind of work my dad does requires him to be here, here. This is how his week looks like. At this time, he is not available.
Yes.
Exactly.
At this time, he is available.
He's present.
But do many of us even have those conversations at home?
I think that's the thing that is very important. I usually mention a number of pillars when it comes to manhood. There's awareness, there is alignment, there is accountability, and then I forget the fourth one. But if I'm going to be an aligned man, then I need to have my people aware. I'm aware myself, but my people are also aware who I am, what I do, my temperament, how I relax, how I detox, how I work, and all that coming into place. But many men are not aligned. They are not aware. They also, the other one is authentic. You should be authentic, you should be aware, you should be aligned, and you should be accountable. When I come back home, there's a sense that I have my people have over me in terms of accountability. How are you? Where do you work? What are you bringing? Just the same way you're talking about signing on the dotted line. There must be that sense of accountability. But now on the flip side, what he was talking about, the reason we lose balance, like when I go through my trainings on time management, there are 7 ways of abusing time.
Wow.
And that's where we now go totally wrong, as men. Because number one, you could be a juggler. A juggler is somebody who is just all over the place. And you think you can get everything done, Number 2, you could be a perfectionist. You want to focus on one thing, and you take too much attention on it. Number 3, you could be a procrastinator. Things which you keep just postponing and let's see.
There's a lion in the street.
Exactly. And there are 7 of them. The 4th one is the we call them the unstructured. They don't like rules. They don't like structure. They don't like routine. Kaende, you know.
It's part of the moment.
that kind of thing, you know. So I think one of the reasons why maybe our families or even our people complain is because we end up, and those are just 4. You can imagine there are 7. The overcommitter, the underestimator, the procrastinator, the busy bee, the jugglers, you know, all those people. At times the reason why people begin to complain is because we are abusing time. At times you underestimated a task, or you are a perfectionist, you know, or you are a procrastinator, you know, and all those things. So even when balance tries to come in, and that's why I say from a personal point of view, must begin to have some sense of awareness. How am I? How was I brought up? What's the philosophy that drives my life? Then from there on, you can now be able to navigate and know I have a blind spot here. Me, when I get into a conversation with Bishop here, I will not stop. And it's a blind spot. So somebody needs to like nudge me once in a while and say, oh, ongeanga sana.
I'm just wondering, can a schedule, we talked about culture.
Yes.
I'm wondering, can a schedule work? You know, as a man, can you put your family on a schedule?
That's right.
So that you make sure that there's some things you don't leave out. You make sure that you're there for them.
Yes.
You know, sometimes people say when you schedule, you don't really love us. You're just so mechanical. People love spur of the moment. But some people work better with the schedule. You know, have those family moments that are scheduled. You know, we do this at this time. Every year we have to go for a holiday during the season. This is how we work out our birthdays. This is how we work out some of these national holidays that we know people are available. Is such a tool helpful for a man?
It works because I use it.
Oh,
I have a schedule,
PhD.
I use it. Yes, and that was born out of the discussion I told you. Guys, let's agree.
Okay.
We'll map this time out. These are the time we have is 24 hours. These are how the holidays in a year. You have an idea when you're traveling? Yes. This is how it will look like. So I know, because I'll be away a whole 1 month. Prior to, this is how we need to take advantage of this time. So, and then we have a daily schedule also. But we don't worship at the altar of that schedule. There are days when life would throw you off. So we have to agree. So yes, it's there just to give us a framework, but we don't worship it. But we try as much for it to be a guide. Help us now, is the A to Z.
I would add to his that now when you're scheduling, there's at times when we are coaching these very senior executives and they have this problem. Just the same way you have it in the church, same way you have it in families and all this. There is something we call prioritization. And prioritization is a very important skill when it comes to self-management and time management. And we call it, we have what we call the big rocks, and then the small rocks, and then we have the sand. And so for the big rocks, you need to look at your calendar and ask yourself, you know, what are the things that are most important? And you block off in your calendar. And you make a commitment that these are things that I'm not going to change. I'm not going to wave them around. Then now all these other smaller rocks and the sand and everything else now begins to fit into the bigger rocks. Because if you don't have that prioritization, you'll not perform at work. You'll also not perform at home. So when do I hang out with my wife? When do I hang out with my children? When do I spend time with extended family? When do I go for family meetings? And as men, you know, we carry even bigger and bigger burdens, you know? And then now at work, when am I in meetings? When am I planning? At the end of the day, I have my KPIs at work, you know? How am I going to deliver on all those? So there's some sort of order and technique that comes when you understand prioritization, which is effective scheduling. Yes.
And I think it's important for us to sit down with our spouses and clarify what the big rocks are, because my big rocks may not be her big rocks.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that may be a place of conflict.
You got it.
Once again, being shown signs and wonders by my producer in the background, meaning my time is up. But gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Awesome. Prioritize big rocks, small rocks, the sand, na pia unaongeza maji hapo juu yake, so that you know which ones take priority and cannot be moved. Somebody once said, easy kazi, you know, either when you die or when you leave, by the next day kuna interviews ya watu kujaza hiyo pengo umewacha kwa sababu si kazi yako, iko na mwenyewe mwingine. And so let's not spend so much time with the work that our children start calling us Uncle Ken. That's all the time we have for Man Up tonight. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and God bless you.
Fresh, insightful, and in-depth stories from current affairs, opinion, inspiration, lifestyle, church-related articles, and so much more on www.familynews.today. Insights at your fingertips.